All right, good morning, baseball and coffee watchers and viewers and baseball enjoyers in general. It is 10:30 on a Friday. That means it is an MLB simulcast Friday. Thank you for everybody in the MLB chat joining us as well. Hopefully, somebody who's moderating from MLB can shoot me some questions because I am only capable of really seeing my YouTube page chat. We're having a little trouble with MLB chat, but that's okay. If you're into it, hop on over to my page. You can join the chat by subscribing, even for 1 minute. And we're going to try to get into it today. It was a late night last night. We watched through eighth inning live, and then I realized, oh God, I'm going to have to make a Cam Schlittler video. So popped offline, put in 25 minutes. It's if you haven't seen it yet, it's an easy watch. Let me see the actual runtime of the video. I don't think it's very long. I think it's actually pretty decent. Let's see here. Hold on. I got a lot of tabs open on my computer. It runs 25 minutes, so not a bad, pretty quick watch considering how good he was last night. And boy, was he ever good. It was insane. So we're going to get into that. We have to give that even more room to breathe, even more to break down. I haven't received any game notes yet, so I was hoping to do a little bit of previewing of the next series, and we can do that a little bit because we have 4 really good series coming up. Best out of 5 division series. There's 4 teams that were sitting on ice waiting for tomorrow. It's the Phillies, the Brewers, the Mariners, and the Blue Jays. They are all been sitting on ice, and they get to play the winners of their series. So, they've been practicing all week. There's been some fun scrimmages. I'm sure you guys saw the Ichiro clip of him participating in the Mariners scrimmage in full regalia, full Mariners regalia. It looks good, still looks trim out there in right field. But good morning, glad to be back with you guys. Let me see what we got here in the chit chat over here. This is a picture that I just threw up. If you're looking at my stream right now. This was a summer camp scrimmage. That's J.A. Happ on the mound in an empty Yankee Stadium. And I was not participating in this game, so I got to sit right behind home plate in those legend seats and watch. I was just looking through some old photos on my other computer over here, which I really had been collecting dust, honestly. But then I realized, man, I have so many photos on there. I got to go check them out. So that's what you're seeing there. How is the coffee today? Spectre asks. It's quite good. It's quite good. We got a Mexican brand. And these are very good. I prefer to have a little cocoa, a little chocolate notes in my coffee, and this one delivers very nicely. This is the first of probably 5 or 6 coffees of the day, but here we go. Off and running. Oh, we got a little bit of stuff in the chat here. Did I see the Bregman comments from last night? I did not. Maybe we can go see exactly what he said. Alex Bregman non-committal on future with Red Sox. Well, yeah, I mean, this is how negotiations work, right? You start from a point. I'm sure Alex wants to stay. I'm sure he wants to stay in Boston. I'm sure he had a great experience there. Seems like they really are building a nice culture in that clubhouse that he was a big part of this year. I'm trying to see the quotes here. It's not at the top of mind. I'm not gonna speak on that right now, but I came here to be here for a long time. That's basically what I was saying. Not even thinking about that at all right now. Thinking about the game that just happened. I'm going to think about this game and the guys in the room and start my off season. Get after it and become a better baseball player. I mean, that tracks. It's a cliche answer, but that's exactly who Bregman is. He's going to go home and try to figure out how to be a little better next year. And then Story talking about Bregman. You saw the impact he had in this organization on the field, off the field, leadership-wise, all of it. He's a special player, special mind. Obviously very sought after. He helped us get to where we are today, and hopefully we can keep him for a long time. It's huge. A guy who has been in the postseason 9 years in a row, it's important to have experienced guys, especially in the postseason. And he's obviously a huge part of this team. I think he's a huge priority. This is exactly what you want your teammates to be saying about you when you're on the way out the door. You want them to be putting pressure on your own team, telling them how much you need them, They tend to listen to that stuff a little bit more when it's on the inside. Sometimes, though, this just helps create more value for the player. I mean, Alex is not only going to get paid for what he does on the field, but a little bit also probably for what he is in the clubhouse. I know Detroit was big in on him last year. I would expect them to be in on him again. Detroit's still alive in this playoffs. He's got a good relationship with Hinch. I think this time they won't penny pinch and they'll really make a big swing at Alex. But I think the Red Sox understand what he means to their clubhouse and also their fans. Although, let's be honest, he did not play as good down the stretch. He was incredible early. Not as good down the stretch, so you got to add that all in. Craig Breslow seems to be quite, I would say, cold-blooded with his decisions, which is sometimes how you have to be in the top role. So it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out for Bregman. But no doubt, he had a good year. He's reaping the benefits of that now. You see the way people are talking about him. This is why it's so important to learn the game, become a leader. You can affect the games in other ways. And we'll see how it plays out. It's going to be interesting. This is going to be a fascinating free agency, which we'll cover once we get there. But you have some guys who are tied to a team that they just are the incumbent team, like a Pete Alonso, now Bregman in this case, where there is a little bit of tough choices of which way the teams are going to pivot. Do they stay cold-blooded or do they feel a little bit of that human side? And do they value anything that they can't measure? That's always been a big thing to me. It's like we can all acknowledge that team chemistry matters to some extent, and we can all acknowledge that leadership matters to a huge extent. It's just like, how do you measure it? And teams don't tend to pay for things they can't measure. So that's kind of my thought on that. All right. Let's head back over to the main screen. Actually, let's stay in the chat for a second. I'm sorry, you guys. Ayo, how do you rate Starbucks? I've drank Starbucks a lot. What I like about Starbucks is it's the same no matter where you are in America. So I've drank an awful lot of Starbucks, Jaden, but I still rate it pretty low. It's probably like a 4. Once you have better coffee, it's hard to go back. It just feels kind of burned. Weisberg, quote, "It was an honor to wear this jersey, Bregman. Sounds like he's opting out for sure." Of course he's opting out. I mean, he's getting paid big money, but there's a lot of deferred money in the deal that still exists. So he's going to try to clean that up, get more years. This is what you do as a player. Use the leverage you have. Phillies seem to take their scrimmage more seriously this year. And this is a very tricky thing. How to deal with the layoff, the time down. It's not what you're accustomed to in baseball. You get the 4 days off in the middle of the summer for the All-Star break. That's it. Other than that, at most you get 1 day every 2 or 3 weeks. So you're not used to having a bunch of days off, kind of sitting on it. And now the intensity, is going to be there in a place like Citizens Bank Park versus the Dodgers. But you're facing Shohei Ohtani, who's going to be throwing some electric shit at you first thing in the morning. So again, this layoff, I think it only hurts these teams. But how you take the week can kind of affect just how much. Carnishwar Ja, if Garrett Cole was healthy this season, the pitching lineup would have been the most dominating pitching line in the AL. Well, imagine. Cam probably doesn't even get called up this year if Garrett's healthy. There's a decent chance that that's true, right? But yeah, you look at next year for the Yankees, and it's too far to look ahead because they're now about to take on the Blue Jays. But a healthy Big G, Garrett Cole, Fried, Rodon, Schlittler, healthy Luis Heel. Yankees are set up on the starting rotation for next year for sure. Good morning, Ray. Otto, big Mets fan. I know you're with the team last year. What do you think went wrong with the Mets this year? That's a longer conversation, and we'll get into a lot of Mets stuff probably after the postseason. Maybe a little bit on some downtime, maybe a little bit later, but we got to stay focused on what's important right now. Izzy Brennan, cold-blooded is one way to put it. Another way to put it is reckless and short-sighted. Yep, you said it. That's a possible way to take it. But the guy certainly wasn't afraid to make the moves. The Devers move, some of the extensions. And you know what? You're not going to hit on everything. Christian Campbell was nowhere to be found yesterday in the playoffs. Rafi Devers, the guys they got in return for him, none of them even appeared, right? No Hicks, no Harrison. So that's interesting. But obviously, the team still got where they got, So they made the changes and they still looked pretty good. I think Roman being hurt was a big deal. And yes, I think there are certain players on the Red Sox that meet Devers, but that's long gone. And, in a way, I think Boston now has some goodwill built back up with the fans again. And, they're going to hopefully spend the money that they got taken off their books for Devers going to San Fran and, continue to build on what they got. Maybe that means bringing back Bregman. Maybe that means signing somebody else, but we'll see. We'll see how this all goes down. Pumpkin cream cold brew season MLB in the chat. Wow, that's an aggressive, very fall oriented drink. Not really my thing, but ooh, let's see that shirt. There it is. This is the Ottavino shirt. This will be up pretty soon. We got all the graphics here. Got Cape Cod League leaders from the season in there. Got the boys drinking coffee. All the logos, the lab. So we made a little fun shirt collaborating with Paul Sendick, who makes the shirts at my daughter's sleepaway camp, which we thought were really cool. So we decided to use him as our designer. So that's where we're at with that. Still no notes. I really wanted notes today, but if not, we'll get them for tomorrow. All right, what else we got here? My son still sleeps with the glove. A sign for him. Love that, Ray. That's tremendous. Oh, and there's Clark Schmidt. Good call. Josh Foreman. He'll be back as well. Of course, they could have used Rafi. They needed some hitting. Although Rafi famously doesn't really hit the high velocity. It's not his priority. I mean, he can. He's clipped Chapman and stuff like that in the past, but he's mostly an off-speed pitcher. Jaden, I never know what to get for coffee, but this week I've been doing an iced hazelnut with 5 shots of espresso. Wow, that's a lot of caffeine. But iced hazelnut, my wife loves that. She loves hazelnut coffee. It's not my personal favorite thing, but I get it, and I get why people like it. All right. How we doing in the chat, in the world over here? Looks like we've got... Man, my restream is looking crazy. Yeah, we got 100 people on MLB. We got 43 over here. Okay. I'm a construction worker. Got to be energized. Yeah. I hear you, brother. And you know what? The caffeine sometimes is just one of those things where you get kind of accustomed to it. You build up that tolerance, and then you need more and more and more and more and more. All right, so let's go back and review this game a little bit from the box score and some of the StatCast data now that the dust has settled on it. One thing I want to point out is really no team hit the ball very well in this game. Look at the expected batting averages on both sides. 160 for the Red Sox and only 185 for the Yankees. Yankees actually hit the ball weaker. Hard hit percentage 31% from last night's game. Red Sox 47.8%. Albeit, I feel like a lot of that was ground balls. And really a huge key was Cam turning to the sinker last night. In the video, I don't know if I demonstrated that well enough, but this was not normal for him. So let's go look at what he was looking at prior to this game in the pitch mix department. Yeah, the sinker was only coming in at 7% on the season. He had thrown 89 total sinkers in his first, I don't know how many pitches this is. It's over 1,000. If you add them up, he had only thrown 89 of them, so very low, 7.1%. And then last night he goes and throws 25 sinkers, I believe, in that game. I think that's what we had him pegged for. So I actually thought this was a key consideration. He wanted to pound these guys with fastballs. And then this year, what he did last night, especially with the righties, mixing it up with the 2 fastball types was really smart. And I don't know who got to him or who gave him this advice prior to the game, but it was good advice. And I think we just talked about Bregman and that baseball brain of his a little bit. This is actually one of the adjustments that he used when he was sort of coaching up Hunter Brown last year for the Astros. If you remember, Hunter Brown took the leap last year, switching to a combination of 4 seams and sinkers. The reasoning behind this is simple. In today's game, you need to have multiple swings in your bag if you're going to cover elite fastballs. If you're going to cover 4-seamers at the top, because that's where guys want to throw the high 4-seam, you want to adopt the turn the shoulder method so you can keep the bat flat and not get the droopy barrel on the bat. If this is the barrel, you don't want to get droopy. You don't want to get scoopy. You want to stay flat and get through it. Now, when the pitch is low, you want to either use your legs to get down and stay flat like a Juan Soto, or you want to tilt and get scoopy like pretty much everybody else in the league. So most guys have a little bit more of a scoop, and then they have a little bit more of a shoulder turn level swing. If you're preparing for one shape of fastball, you can repeat whichever one that is over and over and over again and make micro adjustments. Like say you foul a ball off and you're a little under it, you can make a slight micro adjustment. But if the pitcher keeps going four seam, sinker, sinker, four seam, obviously he mixes in the cutter and the curveball as well, like Schlitt, but you got two pitches 99 miles an hour, four seam, sinker, what do? You think you're getting one, you're getting the other, you're going to get blown up, you're going to have weak contact, you're going to have mishit balls. That is one of the things, one of the tricks that he was utilizing last night so well, and that's what really stands out as a difference maker for me. It's a good whiffs game for Cam, obviously. He struck out all these dudes. 18 whiffs in 54 swings, 33%. That's solid, but you don't get 12 strikeouts typically on 18 whiffs. You would have to be hitting in your two-strike situation a lot. He locked a lot of guys up. That is also another effect that you have when you're using two fastballs. And there's a good comment in the chat here by Scott about Austin Wells calling the game and that he deserves some love for that. Abso-freaking-lutely. And this is one of those things that's hard to quantify. And we were wondering last night, would Rice get the start at catcher to get that bat in the lineup? They decide not to do that. They decide to play Wellesley behind the plate, and then they figure out first base as they go. Who ended up did go? I'm kind of at a loss for my brain power right now. Yeah, they ended up playing Rice at first, but there was some thought last night of playing Goldschmidt at first because Early was the lefty, and then playing Rice behind the plate since him and Wells are both lefty. That it's fine, but no, they just said, you know what, Wells is the catcher. And I think he had a pretty good game framing as well. He caught a couple high pitches, which is rare for him. He's the best low framer in the league. But last night, since Cam spammed a lot of high fastballs, I felt like Wellesley did a good job at the top rail on those four seams, and it made a big difference. But yeah, 107 pitches, 8 innings, 5 hits, 12 strikeouts. It is curious looking back on it now, and it's some semi-moot point. But is this now going to become a trend for Booney? Is he going to be trusting his starters a little bit more? You know, he takes Max Fried out the other night, right around 100 pitches, and got criticized for that pretty good as Crochet went $117 and kind of outpitched him through an extra inning. But now, last night, could have easily taken out Cam after 7, says, nope, we're letting it ride one more inning, and pushes him a little further to 107. So is this going to be a theme versus the Blue Jays? Or are they going to go back into hyper-analytical, third time through, fourth time through, super granular analytic matchup type managing? So we'll see. We'll see. It's going to be interesting. Blue Jays have had the had the Yankees number all season. But let's just say one last thing about the Red Sox before we're done. They were let down big time in the series by Duran, I would say, offensively. He didn't get on base at all. I felt like his swings were just too big, especially in this game yesterday. We need him to be more of a spray the ball type hitter. I would have liked to see him utilize his legs a little bit. I don't care if you have to bunt, but you got to put the ball in play. You cannot go down when you're hitting in front of these guys. At this moment in the season, they don't have their best guys in the lineup necessarily with no Roman Anthony. This lineup's a little bit slapped together. He needs to get on. So his lack of quality in this series really hurt the Red Sox offensively. Story was good, really good, probably the main guy on time. Did get one hit, but it was a tough battle. Bregman, I thought, had a good approach, and Cam was just a step ahead of him. We watched some of those at-bats. Yoshida was great, but again, he's kind of a one-trick pony. And then Rafaela, who had been super hot, he kind of went ice cold here at the last second with 3 strikeouts. And I'm not gonna even talk about the bottom of the order because they weren't gonna touch Cam Schlittler, but I do think it was important and loomed large that Duran never got on base and never created any trouble for Cam on the base paths. If you look at some of Cam's tougher outings this year, going back to, I remember one against the Twins recently. He does struggle a little bit by getting distracted by the running game. Not so much to allow steals, but his pitch quality tends to go down a little bit. So that would have been a good way for them to get ahead of that, if they could have, which they didn't. All right, what do we got in the chat here? All right, just communicating with the wife for a second. All right. Yeah, we got Cuban coffee, Mexican coffee, Colombian coffee is like some of the best. But yeah, Cuban coffee though very tends to have like when you have Cuban coffee, you get the sugar in there. It's like like a rocket ship. In Miami's clubhouse, they have good Cuban coffee. My brother for life, John Jay, living with him in the minor leagues, Cuban coffee every morning. I talked to him this morning on FaceTime. We're trying to figure out a good time to get him on the show as well. Monday, though, little update. Monday morning, we're going to be going over these DS series, me and Trevor May on this show in the morning. That should be an electric program, so be sure to tune in for that. All right, what else we got here? Yeah, and Cam was hitting 100 on that sinker. So it's not just the sinker, it's the fact that he's throwing 100 on it. Really good. And it's funny now to look back at the battle for the Game 3 starter. This was a big talking point the week I was doing pre and post. So only 2 weeks ago on the Yankees broadcast for Yes. There was, a conversation of Cam Schlittler versus Luis Heel, the former Rookie of the Year. When you looked at the advanced numbers, it was really no question. And it was really no question even at that time. Cam deserved the ball. And then he did what he needed to do. He made it crystal clear, moved out from the equation by throwing really well his last 3 starts of the regular season. And, earned himself this start. And thank goodness he did, because then the baseball world got to see a pretty amazing and impressive appearance, and really a historic appearance. The only pitcher ever in the big leagues with this stat line: 8 innings, no walks, 12 strikeouts in a postseason game. Not to mention, it was his first time ever in the playoffs. So kid might have a hard time pitching in spring training now. It might feel a little dull to him, as it did to me after being in the postseason. And maybe he's just an adrenaline junkie, and that'd be cool to know. Ray Santos, surprised to see Cam was tatted up. Not surprised. I don't know about my nomenclature here, but, kids from Massachusetts, young men from Massachusetts, we tend to call those guys sometimes massholes. They grow up, be a little dirtbaggish. I have tattoos, so nothing against tattoos, but, it's part of the culture, little badass Boston stuff. So that's Cam. He did come off the mound, it looked like, saying F Boston. So he went to a pretty crazy place last night, basically turning on his old team. Ooh, I just got an email. What is this email? Reload. Yes. This is fantastic. All right, good. We have the notes. We can start looking at the next series. Because who wants to do their own research? I don't have time for that. All right, let's see here. It's odd. Teams that had quick hooks on their pitchers lost, while teams that won, letting their starters go 7+. I mean, I'm going to get into this conversation in a minute, because it becomes more important now that the series are longer. In the meantime, right now, I'm going to pull up these notes so that we can really get after it today. This is going to be awesome. My guy Nate Purrington at the network, he's a legend for this, helping us out, making our program awesome. So it fires me up big time. All right, let me get into this for a second. There's a couple more things in the chat, and then we'll get going. Ocean View Coffee Shop, all good series remaining. Yes, Ocean View Coffee Shop. Can we get some coffee beans from you? I'd love to try it, see what you guys got going on. I don't know if that's a thing, but Brian Hoke had a story that apparently people were getting personal with the messages. There were some Red Sox fans heckling Cam at Yankee Stadium. Interesting. Or maybe DMing him, giving him some shit. Not surprising. But at the same time, hey, you got to use it to fuel you. I actually loved being heckled in my career. I thought that was one of the best things for me. The DMs sometimes can be painful or a little scary. I turn my DMs off. I don't want to be getting heckled all day. But at the field, they used to fire me up. I'm like, all right, I'm going to do something about that. Like in San Francisco, I used to get heckled really good, or Philly, and sometimes channel that, bring it into the game. Extra miles an hour. So next time you want to heckle a pitcher, make sure then you know that they're not going to use that for to fuel the fire a little bit. All right, we got a question from MLB in the chat. Do you still play any sports or practice? Okay, so now that I'm not pitching, I'm trying to do everything that I didn't do when I was playing baseball that I love, and I had to sacrifice to make sure that I was super locked in and healthy all the time. So skiing, about to turn 40. We're going to go get myself some brand new skis, and then I'm going to be on the slopes this off season, 100%. Golf is my new thing, my new obsession. I got my clubs. I've been playing a little bit. I played 5 or 6 rounds. Can't wait to play some more. And in fact, MLB, I know that some of your bigwigs play quite a bit of golf. I would love to get invited, love to mix it up a little bit. I know they have all the memberships out here. Wingfoot, anybody? Anyway, on to the next one. I also love to play hockey and basketball, so I'm actively looking for adult leagues to maybe play a little bit of that. Definitely some hockey up in Connecticut, a little bit there. So those are the sports I'm trying to play in addition to any type of action sport. I love to rollerblade. I love to surf and body surf and boogie board and all sorts of stuff like that. So basic things like that, things that I couldn't do before because they were too dangerous. I'm all in. I'm all in now. And Izzy, sorry, I did not ski that whole time I was in Colorado. It was torture. My kids skied, but I couldn't do it. I just knew if I went out there and I tried to be careful, it would not go well. Who do I root for in hockey? Actually, the Islanders are my team. L3 Gacy 59. I'm not a Ranger fan. I'm more of an Islander fan. My old man is from Long Island, and my uncle, and we grew up going to the old barn. So really big on that. Islanders haven't been good in a while, but that's my team. Dentistry is expensive. Great comment, Scott. I love that. But I love hockey. If you've ever played, it's one of the funnest things to skate around. My son is too. Could try to get him on the skates this winter or next. He certainly has enough aggression. So we'll see how it goes. Do you think Bud Black would be a good fit in Minnesota to guide the young players there? What do you think of him as a manager? So Buddy's got he's a good culture builder, I think. He runs a really good spring training. It'd be interesting to see him out of Colorado again. But hard to say. I mean, he hasn't had really a winning record in the 15 years he's been managing. I know it's 2 tough places. San Diego crowd explosion and spending money, and then obviously Colorado. But I liked Buddy. He was a good manager for me. We got along well. I learned a lot from him. I love that he was a pitcher. So we'll see. I don't know. Minnesota, they're going to need a unique fit for sure. All right, here we go. Time to head into the pregame look around for tomorrow's game 1s. How do I think I would do in Minnesota? Pretty well, although, I like the makings of what they have there. I have a friend, Matt Daniels, over there who runs pitching in the minor league side. I love playing. I love playing in Minnesota. I love that field. I've always had a big affinity for that area. And, my guy, Justin Morneau, lives over there. He's on the TV for them. But I don't know. I mean, I have to see what their situation, what type of vibe they're looking for, but I would love to manage. All right. MLB Network Research Packet, Friday, October 3rd, from Nate Purrington, the champ. Big happy birthday to 1989 champ Dennis Eckersley, 71, and 1992 champ Dave Winfield. So those are 2 Hall of Famers that were born on this day. Where'd you live in Colorado? I lived pretty close to the field the first few years, and then it was too much when Brett got pregnant, so we moved to Cherry Creek. We lived in Cherry Creek over by the mall there. Here's where we currently stand in the postseason picture. As I mentioned, Detroit and Seattle, Yankees and Blue Jays on the American League side, and then we got Dodgers, Phillies. Holy shnikes, that's a series. And then Cubs, Brewers, which is a blood feud of the Midwest. So a really fun one there as well. These are good series. I'll tell you right now, I'm picking Seattle in that one. I'm picking Milwaukee in the other one versus the Cubs, and I am not sure about Yankees, Blue Jays yet, or Dodgers, Phillies. That is a tough one. Quick one in the chat from MLB. What do you think of Cam Schlittler's performance? Honestly, it was historic, dominant, impressive, ice in his veins. It really takes your whole opinion of him up to a new level. Like when I was ranking rookie pitchers in my head from this year, I have Nolan McLean way out ahead of the lead. And then there's a lot of other guys with really good upside that look really good. You Savage, Schlittler. The guys from the Red Sox early, I thought, acquitted himself really well. Tolley's interesting. You got Chandler. You got Mizorowski. There's probably more. I had McLean way out ahead, right? But now I think Schlittler is like a 1B of this season so far, based on what he showed us McLean and Schlittler are my top 2 rookies. I had Savage right up there as well, and we'll see. He's going to get some action in this series, how he does. But yeah, sometimes this playoff stuff, it can really help skew your opinion of somebody in a positive way, for sure. Not necessarily a negative way, because it's small sample and all that, but definitely in a positive way. If you step up and take your game to a new level, that tends to fire me up. Spectre's got Brewers, Jays, Seattle, and of course LA. Adam, did you pitch in the crazy Yankees twin game that ended in the nuts Aaron Hicks catch? Yes. Do we need a quick detour for me to show you that I pitched in that game? Holy sheesh. You know what? We're not going to do the quick detour. But I did pitch. I was the one who was in there in like the 11th inning or whatever it is. I got within 1 out of getting out. They brought in Chad Green. Kepler hit that ball. Aaron Hicks laid out. Yankees win. Big exhale in the dugout for me. And that was when I started to be a little bit less sharp that year, which was disappointing. But still, here we go. Okay, so Saturday, October 4th, that is tomorrow. All times Eastern, subject to change for tomorrow. The early game, Cubs-Brewers. So the Cubs have been having to play afternoon playoff games to this point. I don't know who they're pitching yet. I don't think they know who they're pitching yet. Maybe Colin Ray, former Brewer. That'll be interesting to see. But Freddie Peralta, the ace of the Brewers, will be on the mound for the Brewers in a very loud and probably closed dome there at Miller Park. Yankees and Blue Jays, it's a double TBA, but pretty sure it's Gaussman. That'll be a 4:08 game. There's going to be a shadow situation in this series if they're playing 4:08 games. And very rare for the Yankees to play anything but a primetime game. But Dodgers-Phillies is so freaking juicy that they're moved to the 6:38 this year. Ohtani and Sanchez, 2 of the best pitchers in the world, going head-to-head. Sanchez is now the ace. That Wheeler's out, so I love this matchup. Dodgers-Phillies, I couldn't be more juiced for that series. Tigers-Mariners, that's not announced yet either, but I think you're going to see probably Brian Wu or George Kirby at the top of that one, and the Tigers, they're piecing it together. Will Skubal have enough rest yet? Probably not yet. Ooh, Mitch is saying Cubs benefiting from playing all afternoon games plays right into their heavy day game schedule during the year. That makes sense. They're a little more dialed in on the day game program than other teams. So I don't mind that. Karneshwar Jha, as a Dodger fan, the most terrifying player in the playoffs for me is Bryce Harper. Watch out for Kyle Schwarber, my friend. Don't sleep on him. The combination of Schwarber and Harper, even a little Trey Turner, it's pretty hard to beat. All right. Cubs and Brewers are the first series that we're going to get into a little bit. We're going to hit these notes. We're going to hit them running. It should be Colin Ray or Javier Assad is the thought here versus Freddie Peralta, and then Matt Boyd will definitely get the ball in Game 2 versus Quinn Priester. Okay, Milwaukee native Craig Counsell returns to face his former club. He won a Brewers record 707 games from 2015 to 23 before leaving to sign the 5-year, $40 million deal for the Cubs in November 2023. Look, it's super important that he left. I know there's some Brewers people that think that, this is a traitor move, but 5 years, 40 as manager to set the new standard, that's a no-brainer, and the Cubs is just an elite place to play. Last night, my daughter was watching the end of the Cubs game with me on the couch. We had everybody over for Yom Kippur. Everybody's watching the game. The game ends. They're like, man, that ballpark looks fun. I went and turned up the volume. You can hear the "Go Cubs, go! Go Cubs, go!" And they were loving that. They have tradition there. They have excitement. They have genuine fans. The smell of Wrigley Field. So I get it. Craig Counsell had no choice. He had to go. And the Brewers should have ponied up. But they also decided they didn't need to pony up because they have Pat Murphy in the wings. Now he's the manager. He took over as manager after Counsell's departure. So many things going on with that. Counsell actually played for Pat Murphy at Notre Dame. Later, Pat Murphy became Craig Counsell's bench coach with the Brewers and then took over for him as manager. So a lot of intertwining on this, leading up to this series. And it's very fitting that they play each other. And that was way back in 89 to 92 when he managed them. That's how deep these roots go between these two managers. It'll be interesting to see how Pat maneuvers his bullpen in this series. Javier Assad, who Mark Leiter Jr. once said was the best pitcher in baseball. Mark Leiter Jr. tends to make some things up. But Assad knows what he's doing out there as well, so it'll be interesting to watch him pitch. I love him with his little glasses on his face. Little chubby bod doing his thing. Funny how quick Cubs fans stopped hating Counsell. How do I get on the mailing list for these packets? That's a tricky one. But if you stick with me, you'll be seeing the packets. All right, Brewers are in the postseason for the 7th time in the past 8 years. Truly impressive what they've been able to do. Matt Arnold picks up from David Stearns and just drives them even better up the standings. So they have something in the water up there. They're doing a great job. They won a franchise record 97 games to finish with MLB's best record for the 2nd time ever. Also interesting that there's no. It's also interesting that there's no 100-game winner this year. So that definitely lends itself to the idea that this season is more open than ever. The only other time Milwaukee had the MLB best record, the 1982 AL champions. They also have not won a postseason series since 2018. Now, 2018, they beat us with the Rockies. They swept us, and then they had an epic season with the series with the Dodgers where they lost in Game 7. Milwaukee has taken advantage of their first-round bye to get some much-needed rest. Contreras sat out the final 2 games due to pain in his glove hand. So that's good. He's going to play no matter what. Trevor McGill is now back from a flexor strain. He threw a perfect 4th inning in the regular season finale, averaged 97.5. I mean, he was up near 100 at the end of the year, but that's a big deal. Trevor McGill coming back. When he went down, we worried about that a lot. The advantage that the Brewers have over a lot of teams is they have an immense amount of pitching talent. Abner Uribe was closing with McGill down, and he's been outstanding this year, but it's great to have them both. And DL Hall also returned from a strain oblique in the final game of the season. So they had a couple guys get healthy at the very end. We'll see the form that those guys are in versus the Cubs when they kick off tomorrow. Freddie Peralta got his first All-Star nod since 2021 this season. He led the NL with 17 wins, had a 2.7 and 176 2/3. Peralta and Dylan Cease are the only pitchers with 200 Ks each of the past 3 years. Yes, Freddie Peralta, we can maybe get into a little video on him, but it's a low release, high fastball that really plays with some interesting off speed to go along with it. He is 7-2, 2.92 ERA in 16 starts versus the Cubs since the start of 2021. So plenty of experience with these teams seeing Freddie, but he's done pretty well against them this year. 3-1, 3.43 in 4 starts. He held them to 1 hit over 6 scoreless innings at Wrigley when he last faced them on August 18th. All right, that makes me want to go look at that start a little bit. So August 18th, Cubs Brewers. Peralta, 95 pitches, 6 strikeouts. Owen Cassie was in the lineup. He goes down here on a changeup. He will not be in the lineup tomorrow. This has been a new addition for Freddie the last few years. Couple notes really quick on Freddie Peralta's alignment here on the mound. He's way over here on the first base side of the rubber. I mean, on the third base side, excuse me, of the rubber, creating a right to left approach angle into the plate. And then on top of that, he kind of gets a little bit low. He's not a very tall guy. And then you're going to see, this is even on a changeup. The fastball trajectory is immediately right to left before it peters down here. And when he throws a fastball, you can see the same thing, a right to left effect. Very hard to judge what pitch is which coming out of his hand. There's a lot of really good tunneling here. He tends to throw the ball up in the zone very well. Let's see some of the other strikeouts he got in this game. Here's Matt Shaw. Going to get him with a curveball. Ooh, very nice pitch there. Michael Busch. This is also a curveball. So actually in this game, getting the final strike with some off speed. This was a little bit of a hanger. This ball probably played off of a high fastball at some point. Let's see what this previous pitch was. Yeah, high heater. And this is what I was talking about. Look at the upshoot effect of this heater. So that's what you're facing with Freddie. It's an upshoot, right to left approach angle heater. That's what the Brewers are bringing to the table with Freddie on the mound, and what the Cubbies are going to have to deal with. Here's another strikeout with a changeup. So versus lefties, you're going to see curveballs and changeups. Versus righties, you're going to see fastballs, sliders, curveballs. Probably not a ton of right-on-right changeups. Here's a Michael Busch called strikeout on a 97.6 mile an hour fastball. That's another thing, too. He throws sneaky hard. That's 98. That's gasoline. And I've always remembered Freddie from day one because he debuted against the Rockies back in the day with an unbelievable performance in his debut at Coors Field. So I'll always remember that. Quick question in the chat from MLB. Do you still know who your opposite zero was in the first 0 versus 0 matchup in MLB history? Yes. It was Terrence Gore at the time of the Kansas City Royals. And I'm pretty sure later was a momentary teammate with the Mets. Anyway. Also, Peralta dominant at home, 9-1 with a 1.77 and 17 home starts this year. Milwaukee was 12-5, and that includes a .75 ERA in his last 5 starts at American Family Field. I know I called it Miller Park earlier. Sorry about that. It's now American Family Field. Also, the best in the big leagues this year at facing guys at runners in scoring position. They only hit 135 of him this year in over 75 plate appearances with a 135 average. Unbelievable. Ian Happ, 2 for 32, 063, 14 Ks. Dansby Swanson, 2 for 21, 095, 8 Ks. Seiya Suzuki, 3 for 23, 130, 12 Ks, have all struggled in their careers against Peralta. Should note, though, that Seiya does have a home run, and he is hot right now. Yeah, the AmFam, Josh Foreman, good call. So being that he is hot right now, I'm still going to look out for Suzuki. He was the best offensive player for the Cubs in that series, in my mind, in terms of the quality of the at-bats. That's a big deal. Pete Crow Armstrong, 5 for 11 and a homer, and Kyle Tucker, 5 for 11, have hit Peralta. So very interesting there how that goes. Ooh, good question in the chat from Ray. Did I ever get a chance to go down the slide at AmFam? I tried, but I never got to go down. They had it locked up. There was some sort of incident that took place where guys were acting dumb, and they ended up beating me. I did take some good photos in what used to be Miller Park, American Family Field now, and those will be some Easter eggs probably at the end of the streams this next week, so I can utilize that. But I never got to go down it. That's a little bit of a bummer. And we're talking about watching out for the Miz out of the pen. So the Miz, we're going to talk about that in a second here. The Brewers 164 steals and the Cubs 161, ranked 1 and 2 in the NL in steals this season. So watch out for the running. That's interesting. I'd be curious to see how their catchers throw. That's probably a big part of that. You know what? Let's go look at that right now. Catcher pop times. Danny Jansen is below average on the pop time. Contreras slightly below average. On the other side of the ledger, Carson Kelly right at average. Reese McGuire slightly above average, but no dominating catcher throwing run value for either of these teams. So that makes sense that there'll be more stealing in this series. Let me see here, catcher throwing. The first time one of these guys pops up. So we're looking for Carson Kelly actually. So that's interesting. Carson Kelly is actually 5 caught steals above average. So if he's back there, it's going to be interesting to watch the showdown between the Brewers runners and the Cubs catchers. Ooh. She might need me to leave a little early. Okay, so anyway, we'll keep an eye on that, but Carson Kelly did throw out some dudes. Let's see if we have any video of him throwing somebody out real quick. Here's a caught stealing. So let's just get a quick view of Carson Kelly throwing somebody out. Reese parking lot McGuire. Wow, that's funny. Also probably helps that he's got a really elite tagger out there in Dansby. This is a short hop. Actually, not that quick of a throw, but he puts it on the money. So his value must come from accuracy more so than pop time. Dansby with a nice catch there. All right, back to the Peckett. All right. Yeah, so the last thing we were going to talk about was Mizorowski. Mizorowski expected to be a relief pitcher in the series. He pitched in the All-Star game after just 5 career starts. Absurd. But has a 6.06 ERA and 32.2 innings since coming off the IL. Look, he's got explosive stuff. We've been watching him pitch a lot. He could still be a huge weapon in this game, especially if he throws strike one, similar to Cam Schlittler did last night. When you have elite stuff, you just got to get ahead in the count. Problem is, he's been a little erratic. We've also seen that he can't field his position at all. So I could see the Cubs doing some interesting stuff against him. A lot of taking, maybe some bunting in there. It's going to be interesting how Mizrachi affects this series. That's a big amount of variety in terms of outcomes. All right, the wife wants me to leave at 11:30. Yep. All right, so we're going to finish this up in the next 15 minutes. Suzuki's hot as well. We just mentioned that. So that's a little bit of notes on Cubs Brewers. Now we'll look at Yankees Blue Jays Game 1. It's going to be Luis Gil or Will Warren versus Kevin Gausman or Shane Bieber. Yeah, I don't know which way they're going to go. It's going to be one of those two. That's fine. Luis Gil, I would warn this year for Yankee fans. He has decent ERA and he pitched well at the end of the season, but he's getting no whiff rate. This is a big concern for the Yankees right now. Luis Gil, his under the hood stats have not been very good. Here's where they're at right now. This is my number one concern. Second percentile walks, first percentile chase, 11th percentile K. That's just an untenable combination. So yes, the ERA's been fine, 3.32 and 11 starts, 4-1, but the 1.4 WHIP means he hasn't really pitched very well under the hood. He's got quite lucky. He does have good stuff, but that lack of whiff, 20 percentile whiff, is not what you would expect from a guy with his stuff. So I'm a little concerned about that. Will Warren had good games, bad games. So it'll be interesting to see what the Yankees do here. I'd actually lean towards Will Warren, although I think he got killed by the Blue Jays. I'd have to look at the head-to-head matchups. But that's interesting to note that we don't know who's necessarily starting that game. Yankees are coming off the 3-game series win over the Red Sox. They won the back-to-back games. Obviously, Cam Schlittler. He'll impact the series later if it gets that far. Yankees and Blue Jays ended up tied for first place with 94 wins. Toronto gets the home field because they won the season series 8-5. They have combined to reach the postseason 39 times with 9 World Championships among them since the Blue Jays entered the AL in 1977. And this is the first time they meet in the postseason. So that's a very cool first time they meet in the postseason. This should be electric. You thought that Red Sox-Yankees series was electric. This one might tick up a little more because Rogers Center is unbelievable venue if you want to be a loud crowd. Yankees went 44-37 on the road this season, second best in MLB. That's important because the Blue Jays have the home field advantage. Okay, Josh is pointing me out here. One of Warren's worst start was against the Jays. So that makes sense. Yeah, I don't know. This is a tough call. Who are you going to start here? And are you going to blow out your whole bullpen in this first game? The Yankees are in a little bit of a disadvantage in this first game. This is another reason why it's important to win the division, which they didn't do. Yes, you have to deal with the layoff, but you have a fresh, rested starter, so that will be interesting. Blue Jays have narrowed the choices down to Gausman or Bieber. Gausman is the likeliest to get the nod after 162. Toronto's aces picked up some momentum right down the stretch. Jays won 5 of 7 of Bieber starts. Either way, one of these two dudes will pitch the first 2 games. So that's fine. Judge was 4 for 11 in the AL wildcard series. But he's hitting 419, 576, 730, dating back to June 2024 versus the Blue Jays. So he's killed the Blue Jays. Will they pitch him? Will they pitch to him very often? I'm not sure. He's also destroyed Gausman. 6 home runs off Gausman. But not as good against Bieber. So maybe a little bit matchup-wise, it'll be important. Yes, Cam helped the pen. But again, they're going to need length out of their starters in this series as well. They have some good starters. We'll see how this goes. After being the 2024 ALCS MVP, Stanton is just 6 for 32 with 2 home runs over his past 8 postseason games. He did look a little lost in the playoffs first couple games until yesterday where he put some good at-bats against Early. As was pointed out in the chat last night, he was one of the only guys who had seen Connolly early before. He saw him on rehab, and that looked pretty good. Bo Bichette, no official word yet, but it doesn't look very good that he's going to play. That's a big factor. I do think their defense maybe improves a little bit with Jimenez at short, but no doubt they would love to have Bo in the lineup. He's a much better hitter than whoever is replacing him. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is homerless in his last 21 games, 592 OPS, but he's hitting 414, 485, 724 with 15 extra base hits, 23 runs, 16 runs in his last 22 games versus New York. He's also been quoted saying how he hates the Yankees and he would never play for the Yankees. So that adds a little fuel to the fire for this, and I love that. I love a little live a little bad blood when it matters. All right, now a quick look at the Dodgers and the Phillies, and we'll get more into these games individually tomorrow, but here's a little overview of Dodgers-Phillies. That's 6:38 tomorrow with the Golden Goose himself, Shohei Ohtani, facing Christopher Sanchez, who if you haven't seen him pitch, this guy's unbelievable. Sinker, velocity, and changeup. Unbelievable changeup. Stoic, big, tall lefty. This is the 6th time these teams will meet in the postseason. Each of the prior 5 came in the NLCS. LA won in 77 and 78, and the Phillies won in 83, 08, and 09. Dodgers coming off the 2-game sweep of the Reds. They totally dominated the Reds. That was a mismatch. And are these the best teams in baseball meeting in this series? No team in baseball has won more games since the start of 2023 than the Dodgers and the Phillies. BetMGM gives each of these teams the best odds of winning the National League. So these are the 2 betting favorites in the NL, and they go head-to-head. I do agree that both of these teams have a great shot of winning the entire thing, and whoever wins this series very likely to come out of the NL, but nothing is guaranteed. The Phillies win an MLB best 55 and 26 at home. They have a great home field advantage at Citizens Bank. I was just there in the postseason last year in this very series, Mets versus Phillies, and it was electric. I caught quite a few middle fingers and other things out in the bullpen, but that was a blast. We were able to take them down, and we'll see how the Dodgers fare in this one. Ohtani hasn't pitched since tossing 6 scoreless innings in Arizona on the 23rd. He set a season-high in innings that game, 6 and 91. So he is fully built up. That is a big deal. But I would watch out for a Schwarber leading off that game. We'll talk about that a little bit more, but I think the Phillies will be more than ready for Ohtani. He's also swinging a hot bat, which is hilarious. 11 homers, 18 RBIs, and 815 slugging his last 21 games. And he did pitch against the Phillies this year, September 16th. He went 5 no-hit innings against the Phillies, so he has a little bit of experience versus that lineup so far. Kyle Schwarber had an epic year this year, hit 56 home runs, 132 RBIs, beat out Ohtani by a single homer. He'll probably be runner-up for MVP despite being mainly a DH, but he enters the playoffs 0-14 with 8 Ks at the very end of the year. Christopher Sanchez, the starter, comes into the start with a 15 2/3 inning scoreless streak of his own, and the Phillies have won 5 of Sanchez's last 6 starts. So he looks pretty good. Headed in there to the playoffs, and we'll see how that plays out. Obviously, this Dodger team looked locked and loaded against the Reds, so this is a tough task. Sanchez has not lost at the bank since July 31st, 2024. Since then, he's 7-0 with a 2 ERA and 135 innings. So good vibes for him at the bank. And the Phillies have won all 4 of Sanchez's career starts versus LA, despite a 4 ERA. So for whatever that's worth, they have had some luck in their favor when he's pitched. Teoscar, 417 with 2 homers in his career against Sanchez. That would be the main deterrent, the main guy who's had career against him. And Ohtani and Schwarber are just scratching the surface of the star power in the series. It's true. This is where all the stars are, really, is in this series. Harper, Turner, Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, big-time players, all MVP caliber talents, whether they've won it or not, are in this series. Last series that we're getting ready for, as I have 7 more minutes before I got to get out of here, according to the boss. Tigers and Mariners. Tigers survive that series, so they move on, and they get to face the Mariners and the unbelievable pitching staff, starting rotation that the Mariners have, and why I think they will win this series. Right now, it's a pitching chaos versus either Logan Gilbert or George Kirby, they're saying, and then it will be Skubal versus TBD. Now, is Wu hurt still with the pectoral muscle? That could be a big deal, but they're still going to have Miller, Kirby, Gilbert. Pretty good for the Mariners, no matter what. Skubal will likely pitch Game 2. After outlasting the Guardians in a grueling wildcard series, the Tigers fly across the country and literally all the way to basically Alaska to open the ALDS versus the Mariners, who won their first division crown since 2001. Amazing. Detroit had lost 13 of its final 16, but they find a way to get it done in the best out of 3, and they move on. They can exhale, reset, and focus on the Mariners. Mariners have had 5 days off since the end of the regular season. Watch the Tigers clinch on Tuesday on the T-Mobile Park Jumbotron ahead of the split squad scrimmage. Mariners won 4 of the 6 versus the Tigers this year, including the last 4. Mariners finished the regular season. Oh, yeah, Castillo. I forgot about Castillo. Sorry about that. Like Ray Santos. He's also available as well. Although the Mariners finished the regular season by being swept by the Dodgers last weekend, they're one of the hottest teams down the stretch. They won 17 of the last 18, averaging 6.7 runs per game. And that's really crucial because the Mariners have basically had a pretty crappy basically have had a pretty crappy offense over the past few years. They made some moves at the deadline this year to reinforce that. Naylor, Suarez, they're finally getting something out of those boys. Head into the playoffs. I think that will make a difference. Seattle seeking its first home playoff victory since October 15, 2001, when they beat Cleveland in the ALDS Game 5. Wow. That's a long time ago. That's a lifetime ago for some of these players. The year of Cal Raleigh continues in the postseason. He led MLB in home runs with 60 of them thangs. AL and RBI, 125, while playing in 151 9 games and 121 squatting behind the dish. Incredible. He makes a very strong case for winning MVP over Judge. It's going to be an interesting vote. I still haven't decided. I probably should have decided by now. I feel like I'm frozen. I feel like I'm locked up. Good thing I don't have to really vote. He also hit 3 home runs versus Detroit this year and was hot, headed in to the postseason, hitting 316, 409, 772 over his last 15 games. Josh Naylor also finished the game with 17 hits in his final 19 games, including each of his last 12, 397, 432, 647, 9 extra base hits, 19 RBIs in that 19-game stretch. That's what I was referring to. The Mariners' offense coming alive. Very important is the 2 guys that they acquired, as well as the robust run that Julio went on in the second half. Julio Rodriguez, 10 for 22, 364 with 3 homers versus the Tigers. Arozarena also 3 homers versus the Tigers. That should be interesting. On the other side, Riley Green crushed the Mariners. 10 for 24 with 2 doubles, a triple, and 4 home runs. Green had a hit in all 3 WCS contests, going 4 for 11 with 2 doubles as well, even though he was pinch hit for kind of oddly in that series towards the end of that game 2. Riley Green's got the scoopiest swing in the league. Mariners throw a lot of fastballs. I think they're going to pepper him at the top of the zone and challenge him to get out of his swing plane a little bit. That would be my guess. Torkelson had an RBI single in Thursday's clincher, but he's only 5 for 35 for a 143 average with 18 punches over his last 9 games. Detroit's been desperate for offense. They're going to need a little bit more out of that. Pitching plans are still up in the air for Saturday and beyond. So this is kind of where we're at, especially with a few of these teams that already played in the wildcard series. They're going to have to figure it out, piece it together. Will there be more pitchers added to the roster? Some come off, guys with more length capabilities. These are all tough decisions as now we head into a 5-game series instead of a 3. And then beyond that, it gets even longer with the 2 7s. So you're going to need a little bit more pitching to get through that. It's fascinating to watch the decisions. They have big old meetings for this, and they try to figure this stuff out. Tigers do their pitching chaos besides Skubal, of course, so they're going to be mixing and matching it. Troy Melton, Kiter Montero could team up in Game 1. Brian Wu still working his way back from injury. There's the injury information on that. So Gilbert, who's the opening day starter, he looked good in the final 7. Kirby as well, and Castillo. So they'll be fine. They have plenty of pitching. And LDS starting a couple more storylines here. Shohei pitches in the postseason for the first time. Council returns to native Milwaukee. We talked about that. Cal Raleigh's first postseason action. Seattle University alum. Who knew that? I did not realize that. Skubal's from out there. Seattle University. So he's going to pitch in Seattle in Game 2. That's interesting. They had a Skubal night at the ballpark in April. So that they don't have a Skubal night now, but that'll be interesting. Toronto, number 1 Blue Jays attempt to advance for first time since 2016. And so the not-so-friendly rivalry is taken to a new level. Cubs, Brewers, and Yankees, Blue Jays. And then Mizorowski, how will they deploy him? That's a big, fascinating storyline for sure in that series. Big wild card there. And then the end of a drought. Will Detroit or Seattle find themselves back in the LCS? It's been an awful long time for both of those teams. And then this is other stuff that we can look at when we have downtime. But that's our information, 11:29. It's time for me to get off of the stream today. Thank you for hanging out with me and doing a little bit of this preview on an off day. No baseball today. We have to recover from that first 3 games, and then we'll have another 4 games on tap tomorrow. We'll see what the schedules be. I'll put some things up. Typically on the weekends, I've been doing baseball after dark, so maybe that's what we'll do. I don't know that I'll have a lot of time in the morning, but either way, I'll post about it. Thanks for hanging out with me again. This was fun. Big shout out to our MLB Network researchers, Mark Purrington, Mark Adelberg, and the whole crew over there. So I am going to sign off and say goodbye. I will see you guys tonight. Make sure to like and subscribe, all those good things. Please take care of me. I'll take care of you guys all the way through the playoffs. Thanks MLB for the comments over there and the chat over there and the simulcast opportunity. We'll be back on this channel tomorrow, so head on over to Adamant00 if you're into this content, and stay tuned for more. All right. Adios. Have a good one, everybody.